Untap, upkeep, and welcome back to the channel if you've been here before. If you haven't, then please sit back, relax, and enjoy my very wacky show I've got for you all today. So, for today, we're going to take a look at a commander that I like to kind of call like the chameleon of the format, if you will, because the principle behind it stays the same. It's a partner pairing with background. The idea, the core of the deck always stays the same, but you can you can mix and match the colors of him, and that kind of can yield some different results. And depending how much you want to put into the budget, how much power you're trying to get out of the deck, can determine win conditions, win lines, that kind of thing. So let's look and see what wacky shenanigans I've come up with. So we are going to look at Abdel Adrian, Gorian's Ward. Abdel here has partner with a background basically, and it's from the Commander Legends Boulder's Gate set, I believe. So he says when he enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you control until he leaves the battlefield. Create a 1/1 white soldier creature token for each permanent exiled this way. So, for this deck that I've kept under budget, everything is $1 or less than the deck, minus your staples like Soul Ring, boots, that kind of thing. Everything in here should be $1 or less, so it is a very fun, very budget-friendly build, and you can take it to the sky, everybody. You can take it to the limit. The reason I wanted to kind of focus on him is he is the most popular for being known as like a blink commander. And what we mean by blink is there's spells that we'll get to here in a minute, and even creatures that allow you to temporarily remove this creature from the game, and then it comes right back typically. Some are at the end step. A lot of the other spells that we're going to talk about and look at today are staples for him, and they are typically a bloop, and that's why we call it a blink effect, because he's here, and then he goes away, and then he comes right back. So, there actually was a magic card created a long time ago. Let me see if I can find it real quick. That kind of helped give the deck its name. And this is kind of it right here. This is Blinky. It kind of helped, if I remember correctly, give the strategy its name. Because for 0 mana, you can just bounce it right back to your hand. So if anything was to happen like board white wives, you can just go, nope, you're not killing Blinky. And, we're going to have our fun. It's not a very good card, as you can see, and this was a pretty old card, actually. But this kind of helped give birth to the idea of a blink deck, if I remember right. So, this is Abdel Blink. And I like to call him the chameleon of the Commander format because you could pair him with all of the colors and get different kind of results. For today, we're looking at a white-black version of the deck. That's kind of why I have the faceless one here. My original idea for this whole build. So, by the way, you'll have to check the deck description below for updates to the deck as I do this. This is going to be quite the process. But the idea behind this deck was I wanted to have like the core cards for Abdel that are going to make up about half of the deck. They should be about 50%, maybe a little bit over 50% white pips. And the fun part to me would be you have Abdel as the core, and then you have black, you have blue, you have green, you have red, and you could even go full mono white. The rest of the decks, so you could have, like, let's say it was like 55% of it was white. So you could do like the other 45%, the other color. So you have, and this includes lands and some like, well, I think I made space for like 5 dual lands. So you could literally have like 45 some odd cards of each color. So then you could literally put it in like one of these long deck boxes, and you literally take it to your game store, and you go, all right, guys, roll. And whatever somebody rolls, you could be like, cool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 is a re-roll. So you rolled a 3. Oh, looks like we're doing Abdel with green. So you take the chunk of green cards, you shuffle them into the deck, and you have a blast. You pick your background to go with him, which obvious one would be the one that says they get 1/1 counters. So that might be like a 1/1 counter synergy kind of build, and have fun. And if you do it on a budget, I mean, this is like a bracket 1 to bracket 2 kind of deck. It could punch above its weight class a little bit and like the skirts of bracket 3 with a little bit of tweaks here and there. But that was the idea behind this deck, is I wanted to be able to basically lay out the core cards that make Abdel so good on a budget, and then see how many of them there is. It's a if I remember, it's a little bit over 50%. So then you just have to fill the gaps with the other colors, or even if you rolled and got mono white, and away we go. I mean, honestly, you could even use the faceless one here and choose colorless. I don't really know if that would actually work, but you could kind of like, hey, rule 0 this and say, hey, I'm going to choose colorless, but it's not going to matter because Abdel's white, so it's going to be a white colorless deck. And that would give you like the ability to roll like a d6, and you could go from white, blue, white, black, blue, and red and green, and even colorless, and just have like, I don't know, other possibilities. I don't know how you would do the colorless build, honestly. I think that would be quite the challenge as far as like what's going to end the game, especially on a budget. But if you opened up the budget, I mean, come on, everybody knows. Big dumb Eldrazi do dumb thing. So that was kind of the idea. In case anybody was wondering why Faceless One is here, it is because I can sit here on this website, Moxfield, which is not a sponsor, by the way, and I can change the color to it. So then when I'm going in here searching for cards to add to the deck, it doesn't go, you cannot add impact tremors to this deck because it is a white-black deck. Well, you can literally come up here, you can change the color, and here we go. So the core principle behind Abdel is you want to have a lot of cheap things out that do things probably when they enter or leave, and flicker or bounce him back and forth so that you get more and more incremental value. We have things in here like Elspeth, Sun's Champion, 6-drop Planeswalker. I've talked a lot about this Elspeth. Really, you can drop her, use her neg-3 to blow up everything that's huge, because our creatures are typically going to be very small with Abdel. And then you can literally blink Abdel, and when he comes back into play, you can tuck Elspeth underneath him. This also makes it like really, really bad for your opponents if they ever decide to get rid of Abdel, just because, well, you get a lot of value back when he comes off the battlefield. But this is a typical, I went with a very typical build. This is white-black aristocrats. We're very creature heavy, and we're going to take a look and see some of the things we have. So this is from the new Final Fantasy set. I'm not even going to try to say the name because I am horrible at saying names, and I'm going to butcher it. Really, really bad. Sorry, Final Fantasy lovers, but I'm not good at that. So this says, whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So we can keep this on the battlefield eventually. We have free sack outlets like Bartholomew de Pedro. Probably butchered that too, but that's okay. Who is sack an artifact or a creature, put a 1/1 counter on him. So if we decide to keep him onto the battlefield, maybe we've generated enough value with Abdel, play this, either kill or bounce the Abdel, and then with this guy out, we can just hopefully start mowing down the table. We got cards in here like Burglar Rat. When he enters the battlefield, everybody discards a card but us. So it's just a nice, wreck kind of situation. Go ahead and kill Abdel, because when this guy comes back into the battlefield, you all have to discard a card. Thanks, don't it? Burner's Tart, mana ramp, nothing really fancy or special about him. Cartel Aristocrats, it's kind of in its name, it's just a sack outlet for us to start draining opponents' life totals down. I thought this was actually really funny in this deck. Cauldron Familiar. So when it enters the battlefield, everybody is going to lose a life, and we get to gain a life. We can sacrifice the food and return it from here to the battlefield. Probably not going to be a thing we're going to worry about, but maybe we can flicker enough times, kind of get some kind of loop going or something, that we can drain the table with this. We have the Falkenrath Noble, which is our budget-friendly version of the Blood Artist. So whenever him or another creature dies, he's going to have target player lose a life, we gain a life. This is one of our specialty creatures in here. This is the Distinguished Conjurer. So whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, gain a life. We love that. I mean, we could choose not to blink it with Abdel, which we're not going to. And when he decides to exile a whole bunch of stuff on our battlefield and poop out, 5, 6, 7, 10 guys, we gain all that life. But it's also in here because of its blink effect, which is tap 4 and a white, tap it, exile another target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So you can pay 5 mana, tap this, and go, boop, and then you get a whole bunch of bonuses. You unlock, the only problem I'm going to have to tell you in advance with this deck is it is a lot of triggers. It's a lot to keep up with. Take it slow and stack everything that you want, because everything is going to come into play at the same time. So take a minute and read what you're doing and pay attention. If you do that, you should be fine. And everybody is going to be pretty knowledgeable, hopefully, and they're going to be very understanding, hopefully, and it can be very disgusting. Next up, we have Demon's Disciple. When it enters, everybody has to sacrifice a creature or a planeswalker. We're hoping to have quite a few creatures to just yeet underneath the bus here. We don't care, but we're hoping to start diminishing what our opponents can do. Deathbringer Regent. I had to have a big, dumb, idiotic dragon in the deck. Come on, guys, gals, children of all ages. I had to put a big, dumb dragon. So when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, and there are 5 or more other creatures on the battlefield, blow up everything else. So it's a big, dumb, idiotic dragon that late game can just be like, and you thought all the board wipes were gone. Silly me. Circuit Mender is a nice little 3-drop that when it enters, we gain 2 life, and when it leaves, we draw a card. So if we play it, we gain 2, and then we can, sorry, my nose is real itchy, but we can play Abdel, remove it underneath Abdel, make our body, and when it leaves our battlefield, because it's a leave, not die trigger, we're going to draw a card. So then when we blink Abdel, this comes into play, we gain 2 life, Abdel comes back, we remove this back underneath Abdel, and we draw another card. That's kind of typically how a lot of your loops here in this deck are going to go. Chittering Witch, when it enters, make a number of 1 rat creature tokens equal to the number of opponents you have. Then you can pay 1 and a black, sack a creature, and target creature gets -2 until end of turn. So if we blink this a few times with Abdel, we can make quite a big army of rats and our soldiers, and we could actually leave it on the battlefield if we feel threatened and start sniping things left and right. Philidar Guardian is, the only card I believe in the deck that is over our budget, but it is so crucial to this build that it has to stay. So when it enters the battlefield, you may exile another target permanent you control. Then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So it's a flicker effect. And I'm pretty sure if you stack everything correctly, it's a little confusing, but if you do it right, you could virtually go infinite if you do things correctly. Flushbag Marauder, enters, everybody has to sacrifice a creature. We're going to have more. We don't care. Flicker Whips is another one that says when it comes into play, remove another target permanent from the game. Return that card to play under its owner's control at the end of turn. So you could, in theory, you could play Felidar. You could blink Abdel. When Abdel is got his blink going on, you can have Flicker Wisp come back, get rid of the Felidar, and just it's a little complicated, but you could find some kind of loop there, I'm sure. Ghost Council of Orzhov is one of our more difficult creatures to play, but when it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses a life, you gain a life. Sack a creature, exile this thing, return it to the battlefield under control at the beginning of the next end step. So it has a couple of ways that it can stay, around and do things. Gary! Everybody loves Gary! So if you blink Gary a few times and you have enough black pips, which we have some enchantments and stuff, people are gonna die. You're gonna just zap their life like a true vampire lord. Helpful Hunter, when it comes into play, draw a card, so you can see why that would be handy in a what we call blink deck. Rumor Gatherer, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1, and if it's the second time this has happened this turn, you get to draw a card, so that's always nice. Roving Harper, when it enters, draw a card, pretty basic, pretty simple. Restoration Angel is a 4-drop angel that gives us instant speed flicker or blink, so we can instant speed get rid of Abdel from any kind of spot removal or whatever, or any other of our pieces, and we can hopefully just keep doing our thing. Priest of Ancient Lore, when it enters, gain a life, draw a card. You can see how that's good. Nadir's Nightblade, we are making tokens, so this says whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, everybody is going to lose a life and we gain a life. So the more tokens that we make, the more that we can feed to something that is a free sack outlet and keep the pain train going. Inspiring Overseer, when it enters the battlefield, we're going to gain a life, we're going to draw a card. So it's the same thing as our dwarf friend over there. Sky Scanner, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. It's also a 1/1 flyer, so not bad. The Sad Robot, Solemn Simulacrum. When it enters, search for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, and when it dies, draw a card. So we could ramp in this deck fairly well with this on the battlefield. So we're not going to be hurting for lands. Spirited Companion, nice 2-drop doggo. He is the goodest of boys. Enters the battlefield, draw a card. Yep, I put it in here, everybody. Yep, sure did. Sir Conrad the Grim. Bear with me. His text is a little bit confusing, but I can clean it up. So whenever another creature dies, another creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield. Or whenever a creature leaves our graveyard, this guy is going to deal 1 damage to every opponent that we have. So if you have people that are milling, they're going to take damage for every creature that goes from the top of the deck, or even discards. If somebody has a pretty big army, i.e. us, and they board wipe, he's going to see all of it, and it's going to be a ridiculous amount of triggers. And then if for some reason we decide to start exiling graveyards, or somebody does, and they hit us, you poor, unfortunate soul, we're going to sit there and drain everybody. So, pretty spooky card. This is our other Blood Artist effect, so whenever another creature you control dies, Vindictive Vampire deals damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. So, it's another Blood Artist effect. Finally, we have Wall of Omens, 2-drop, 0/4 wall, never a bad option in this kind of build. When it enters, draw a card. So, as you can see, there's quite a bit of value creatures in this build, and a lot of them are the white core, but we have some in the black core that they do horrible things to people. And we like that. So, let's move on, shall we? I'm only running 2 sorceries in this. Damn it. Excuse me. Game is another one that's kind of on the outskirts. It It's in a pre-con. You can get this cheap. I don't care what they're saying on this website or on any website for that matter. Damn is a cheap card. You can spot removal a creature, or for 2 and 2 white, blow up the whole board. So I threw it in. It's cheap. You can get this card. I'm sure people like me have multiple copies of it and they're like, dude, I don't care. Here you go. We are also running Austere Command. So this is a nice little option to have in our build to destroy all artifacts, all of the enchantments, all creatures, mana value 3 or less, or all creatures, mana value 4 or greater. Just a good general catch-all kind of board wipe that is always nice to have. We have 12 instant cards. A lot of them are our blink and flicker effects, but let's kind of look a little bit at what we got going on. You have Altar's Rape, sack creature, draw 2. Corrupted Conviction, sack creature, draw 2. Deadly Dispute, sack artifact or creature, draw 2 and make a treasure. Essentially, this is a 1 mana spell. Or Eviscerator's Insight, sacrifice an artifact, sacrifice a creature, one of the two, draw 2 cards, and for 4 and a black, we can use this late game to keep cards in our hand. We're running Swords and Path to exile things that are in our way as far as creatures. Mortify will hit a artifact or an enchantment. So we're not really like the control player at the table. We're not really like interaction heavy. We're just trying to do our game plan and make people miserable. We're trying to make people go, oh yeah, Abdel. Oh no. That's what we're after. We have, moving forward onto our flicker effects. There's Cloud Shift, exile it, and return it to the battlefield. Slip on the ring. The ring will tempt you. It's completely irrelevant. You could do it if you feel like it, but it's probably not going to matter. But you exile target creature you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So another blink effect. Justicar's Portal, same thing. It also would gain First Strike until end of turn. I don't really know where that would be of importance, but you know, maybe it might. You never know. Flicker of Fate, one of the other reasons for this kind of deck. So exile a creature or enchantment, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Do you know that you could actually hit other people's stuff with this kind of thing, and it could make a difference? I mean, you could wreck somebody's whole day. And lastly, we have Acrobatic Maneuver. It's another one of our flicker effects, and we get to draw a card when this happens. So we like that. It's pretty nice. That rounds out our instances. Artifacts are pretty basic artifacts you would expect to see with mana rocks, you know, Commander Sphere, the Ring, Arcane Signet. We're even running the Talisman for this set, which is white-black. We're running our Orzhov Signet. We have Wayfarer's Bubble, Mind Stone, Thought Vessel, Delwar Stone, Prismatic Lens. So mono rocks are pretty typical of what you would like to see. For the black version, we're going to run the Mephitic Draught. Whenever it enters the battlefield or is put into a graveyard from our battlefield, draw a card and lose a life. We lose a little bit of life. It's not going to matter, I don't think, because we have cards like Gary and some of the Blood Artist effects. I think it's worth having it in here to be able to have a way that's harder for people to kill and draw cards. Like, let's be real. Would you really feel good about yourself about using an artifact kill spell on this? A draft common, basically. We also have Tithing Blade. Whenever it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Again, this is a nice effect to have in this kind of deck, and it's harder for people to deal with because it is an artifact. And people are going to have to make the conscious decision of really going to have to blow this stupid common artifact to pieces. Like, am I really about to have to use a kill spell on this? What has the world come to? Lastly, let's check out the enchantments and see where we're going. So you could basically swap in another land or anything else, and you can make this the partner basically with Abdel. This is Ancient of the Iron Throne. Commander creatures you own have, whenever another artifact or creature is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, everybody loses a life. So you could swap out the faceless one. You could like literally make it a land and have this as the background and just go to town. Bandit's talent. When it enters, everybody has to discard 2 cards unless they discard a non-land. You can level it all the way up at some point if you really feel like it. Predominantly, it's just a nice blink effect to keep people's hands empty. Action of Remembrance. It's another Blood Artist effect. And then, what I really like about... First of all, what I like about this card is it doesn't target. It's each opponent. So that gets around a few things. And nextly, it adds to our white human soldier creature tokens by just consistently just saying no and flickering it. It's pretty nice. Hopeless Nightmare. If you play Standard, you know this is a horrible thing to have to face. It's a nice 1-drop. When it enters, everybody that's not us has to discard a card and lose 2 life. If it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw 2, pay 2 and a black, sacrifice it. We're probably never doing that. We are probably just going to keep blinking Abdel to keep blinking this and make people sad. Hour of Victory. Start your engines. It'll happen one time. We probably won't get much more out of that, but we might. When this enchantment enters, make a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Now that is the effect we care about. And then if we ever get to max speed, pay 2 and a black, sacrifice this, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. It can tutor. I don't know where it's going to be relevant, but we will find out. Finally, Momentum Breaker. If you're playing Standard again, you've probably seen this card. So again, start your engines, but when this enters, each opponent has to sacrifice a creature or vehicle of their choice. Each opponent who can't must discard a card. Pay 2, sacrifice this, gain life equal to your speed. That might become helpful. We could be able to trigger max speed at some point with all of our terrain effects. Kind of 50-50 on that one. It's really just in here to help control the battlefield a little bit because it's a one-sided thing. It doesn't hurt us. So it's just a nice little flicker target, if you will. Moving on to the actual land base, like the staples are going to be like Command Tower, Plains, Terramorphic Expanse, a Reliquary Tower is actually pretty relevant here. Evolving Wilds, Exotic Orchard, Field of Ruin, of course, because I always have to have a way to blow up those pesky, troublesome lands that if you haven't checked out that video, you need to. Maybe I'll link it in the end of this video because it's worth it in my opinion. And of course, Path of Ancestry. Now, the opened door would be Isolated Chapel, Tainted Field, Temple of Silence, Shine Shadow Snarl, and a whole bunch of basic swamps. Which again, if you take out Faceless one, you put the Ancient as the background, which I don't know why you wouldn't. You probably need to add another land. I mean, I can't really do it for this because then it will go, hey, this is not a legal commander deck. What are you doing? And blah, blah, blah. I get it. I understand that. Just you can substitute like another land, or maybe you feel like you need another reanimate spell or something. You know, whatever you want to. You have one free card that you can basically put whatever. I would just make sure it's something that goes with the deck. But this has been Abdel the Chameleon, and I plan to add like other colors to this, like other wedges, so to say, and I'll have them in like the considering board so that you could kind of roll a die and just have fun. Like I built this deck to have fun with friends. Like I think this deck is hilarious. I don't know if I'm ever going to actually build it in paper, but I thought the idea was just fun. I built a friend of mine the Azorius combination, which is blue-white. It is annoying and actually fairly strong, and it's on somewhat of a budget. It's kind of like the card from our collection collectively that is in the deck, you know. So it's not like CDH went out there and bought like all the expensive stuff to make it ridiculously strong and combo centric. No. We literally went through like mostly my collection, some of his, and we're just like, slap it together. Here we go. And it kind of gave me the idea of, well, what I talked about earlier. Of, what if we just had like a set number of white cards that are always going to be there? They don't change. We just change out the color. So he kind of likes the idea. So we're gonna try and work with that. I actually have a Boros version of the deck actually built that I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe giving away to somebody here locally, because I enjoy helping people. It's not the strongest. It has a lot of room for creativity and a lot of room to get bigger and badder, but it did win a game a couple of nights ago, actually, and it was quite funny how it won. So, I don't know. I would ideally love to get this channel big enough that I could set up a Patreon, and one of the Patreon levels would be you are entered for a random giveaway of like one of these decks I built. Like I will personally build the deck, and if you would like, I would even sign like a basic land or something from the deck, and then you have a deck built by me and my insanity. Go rec shop, make it your own, and keep me up to date on it. That's all I would ask. So, I haven't decided on what tier that would be. I haven't decided like a budget or anything, but that is something that I'm working on. Back to the deck though, as you can see, our curve is really, really low, and I really like it. It has a lot of potential to just storm out stupid stuff. So if you take what we're looking at for our percentages, the only thing we care about is about 45% of the deck has black. And that works out great. We're almost like perfect in the deck, honestly. So that 45% that you're looking at, imagine that as the blue and the red and even the green, maybe even colorless, just for like a rule 0 kind of thing. And let's have some fun. Let's do shenanigans. You could do some sample hands down here and get an idea of it. Again, don't sit down at the table and think like we're just gonna wreck everybody's day right away. Excuse me. No, it's a little difficult to get it up off the ground if you don't have the right pieces. Like right there, we're just stupid flooded. Oh, there we go. A flicker of fate. That's all it takes. And we're not going to look like the most threatening thing on the battlefield, and that's fine. Yeah, you can see just very, very flooded, but that's okay. You get a couple of the other effects going, and things just kind of pop off, man. I mean, here we go. Very, very flooded. So maybe it doesn't need that much land, but it's hard to say. Like I feel like if you just cut a land, like the deck would just be like, and now you get no mana at all, so on you. And I would rather it not do that to us. So we might get a little flooded. We may have to swap some creatures around here and there for more targets, better card draw kind of effect. But hey, for the time being, the deck works. But this has been Abdel, the Chameleon. Stay tuned and stay up to date on the channel. And I will be trying to update this deck list for the other colors. If you have interest to see the actual video for the other colors, let me know in the comments below. Let me engage in some conversations with y'all. See what are we gonna do with Abdel here. Keep in mind, we're going to be at a budget where everything minus like maybe 1 or 2 cards possibly are going to be in our budget. Like the green one I think is going to be the hardest, just because finding cheap board wipes in a white-green deck is going to be a little difficult. Yes, we can lean on the white part of it, but I kind of want to be able to have like a little bit of green or even colorless to help balance that out a little bit. So let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you would love to see what I've done with Abdel and the other color pairings. and we'll talk about it and we'll see what we can come up with. Let me know if you think this is a hilariously good idea, fun idea, and like I said, I'm doing this on a budget, so anybody can do it. You don't have to. You can take it to the sky, everybody. Do as you please. This is just going to be a nice guideline for you to just make people miserable. I have been the Buddha Dragon. Don't forget to rub that belly for mana. May all your games be filled with luck. Don't forget, like, share, comment, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Help me help this channel grow, and I promise I will not disappoint you. Engage in the YouTube algorithm. Hey, let it play in the background. Mute me. It helps. Every little bit helps. So, from me to all of you, thank you. And may all your games continue to be magical.